The third concept is investment and assets, which means you want to increase the value of these assets, commodities such as gold or oil, or investments such as housing and stocks. I mean, the housing really bridges the idea of a commodity and investments because, um, and also debt as well. Um, because you need a house to live in to keep you sheltered from the elements and to be able to raise a family and progress in life. Um, so in that sense, it is a commodity. Um, Only restricted by available resources and the application of technology to those resources to get good utility out of those resources. To that so technological change is going to change houses from being tents which might be widely available because you can make a tent out of the animals' skins that you herd into highly developed apartment blocks in the Roman era which had central heating, baths, and sometimes animal powered lifts, through the treadmill system, up to modern skyscrapers where people are living in apartments. But when you're investing your time and energy in paying off a mortgage, you are to a bank, and a bank is any entity which uh, invests long and lends short. So um, before standardised traditional banking, perhaps people got it from their money, their loans from tax farmers or people who took in taxation from the other from around an area, and then before they passed it up towards the emperor or something in Rome, they would take that money and invest it, and so it was a form of corruption, and then get people into debt slavery where they would farm them like milking dairy cows, in a sense, like they were milking the work value to increase the, uh, the the amount of taxation money that they could siphon off, skim the cream off the top before they had to pass on tax to the emperor. Maybe a system like that is probably does the system probably does work still like that in that way, um, especially in areas of the world which are dominated by crime families, such as probably the Bin Ladens are in that situation vis-a-vis the Saudi royal family. Okay, it's the remora to the shark. The um, the other thing is that if you're in a situation of debt and you're having to service a mortgage, then you are in a situation where you want low interest rates, i.e., where you want currency expansion by a central bank in terms of in the modern era. So that is obviously an incentive for banks to have more currency or more credit currency, debt currency, fiat currency, and so to leverage out mortgages hundreds and hundreds of times so that they can get the maximum amount of interest collection from their debt. And on the other hand, to reduce the debt, people with mortgages want as much currency produced as possible to increase inflation to reduce the actual real amount of debt they're owing to a lender, a bank. Now, another problem with to not get off into unobtainable surplus, but another problem with the with having an unbalanced system, i.e., some individuals with massive amounts of wealth which they don't use, in terms of owning hundreds of houses or many or 5 houses or something which they're not using for the utility of the house as a living, as an area to live in or to produce more families, which is obviously going to make a multiplier effect in terms of the amount of consumption and additions of human skills to the economy over time as children grow up and go into the workforce as adults and then contribute to pension funds and everything else. I am digressing off of my point here slightly, but of course when you've got properties which are being used by the very rich to increase their investments as assets, then house prices are going to be inflated, not only by the amount that a central bank produces in terms of its currency, but also in how much investment the rich are going to put in to those properties to try and sell them. But of course, if the price is very high, the price signal is very high and it is not reflecting the natural unit value of money, i.e. the utility extracted from resources by technology, and in the context of the available information that we really know, then that price signal can be a barrier to entry. So therefore you're getting unobtainable surplus. You're getting many houses built of good quality, but people can't live in them because the price is too high, basically. And so what happens? They get wasted and they become derelict, and they generate slum conditions. Now, it's not just because rich people are wanting slums to be created because they want to own all the resources in the economy. Some individuals who are rich might want that, in terms of people who believe in neo-feudalism, like the Bin Ladens or Saudis. They believe they own other people. But some people, because of other price factors, or because they don't want to pay the actual real level of money value of services like electricity or gas, they might put a cable out into the hall and hack into somebody else's electricity or gas supply to its electricity supply, and thus that might create a fire and slum conditions, even though some good citizen has put in a lot of effort into making slums go away and develop a building within a slum area that develops sort of good quality living standards. It's not simply because of structural inequalities. Sometimes it's down to human will and actions, whatever level of economic, social groups you're in. That has to be said because it's empirically true. So I'll just repeat what I've just said about the third conception. So the third conception is investment and assets, which means you want to increase the value of these assets, commodities or housing stocks, etc., to get a return on the utility you forego, whereby you the utility you forgo by investing in that activity rather than using money and all its conceptual ideas for other purposes. I.e., free market economists believe that the contradictory conceptions within the money mean can balance with each other in equilibrium.